Welcome back, everybody, to another deck profile here with Chris from CTJ The Standing Elites. Hopefully you guys are having a good day. And I wanted to bring you guys a, I feel a very competitive variation of the new Goku leader, who he's been named or dubbed the name Dredge-Ku because of his ability to, you're basically milling yourself out, but you're also gaining an advantage with this, and it puts this deck has a lot of killing power late game, and depending on how you build this, there's different variations of it, but it can be very hand destruction. It can also be very just wide board with a array of extremely powerful cards that your opponent has to invest resources into removing it. My list is a little bit differently from some of the lists I've seen online. I try to have as many cards in the drop area that have functions with each other. You guys will kind of see that in the deck. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of this deck profile and the deck in general. Any changes you would make. And we'll go right here into the leader. So what this leader does, every time this leader swings on both the front side and the awakened side, he bursts 3. And when you do that, you can draw 1. From what I was told, you can actually swing and you don't need to burst. But if you don't burst, you don't draw. I don't know if that's true or not, but from what I've seen, I think you can do that. But also it's an auto, so I don't know really how that's gonna work. But the other auto is whenever one of your battle cards is KO'd. Doesn't say by your opponent. Doesn't say by a skill. Just says whenever one of your cards is KO'd, you may draw 1 and restand 1, and then you flip this card over. Or you can have a normal awaken at 4 life, where you can just draw 2. But we want to awaken as soon as possible because health in this deck is a resource that we will use very frequently. So let me move some of this stuff out of the way here. So what this leader does on this side, again, when you draw, when you swing, you draw, and you burst 3. And then for 2 life, you can for activate main or activate battle once per turn. You can basically crit yourself 2 life, and then choose all battle cards in both battle areas, ignoring barrier, and place them in their drop area. So it puts every card in the drop area. To my knowledge, this would get around. So basically, this gets around any card that has barrier. So this deck actually has a really good matchup against Invoker, because the 3-drop, you just can pop this and kill it. Fu Shatter Mystery, you can just pop it and kill this. It's really strong. Now the problem is that you are taking life, but the idea of this build that I have is to stay at 7-8 life as much as possible. So in order to do that, we need to be able to awaken early. So I run a package of 1-drop blockers that allows me to do that. So we run 2 of the Supreme Kai of Time regulators. This is a 1-drop blocker that allows you to draw. No combo power, but it doesn't matter. We're just using it as a blocker. So we have 2 of those, and then we have 4 of the Krillins from set 10. And this one, when you play it, you can choose one. You can either search top 5, or you can give it blocker till the end of your next turn, which we're going to give this card blocker. And then basically, if they swing, then we awaken. If they don't swing, they're like, yeah, I don't want to swing with my leader. That's fine, because you're still gaining card advantage. So it's not that big of a deal. That was my phone. 2 Son Gohan, Tenacious Spirit. This card is very interesting. It's a 1-drop, draw 1, and for activate 2, you can give this card a 15k in crit. So it's a weird pressure card that you can have if you have on the field for a few turns. But mainly we play this card because it fits the requirement of a Gohan. And yeah, it fits the criteria of Gohan, which you'll kind of see why later in the deck. 2 Bulmas. I don't like this card, but we need to fulfill the requirement of one of our main cards in the deck, so we run 2 of these. It is a searcher, so it can help search out some stuff, but it's not a great card. This is probably one that I'm going to end up cutting if I end up playing this in a tournament. For something else, we'll need to think of something else to add. 4 Vegetas, Lone Prince. When you play this card, you basically, your opponent has to your opponent has to drop a card. So it's just a super combo. You play out for 1, opponent drops a card. If your life is at 4 or less and you combo with this card, you get the draw. so that's a nice thing. But our life, we're gonna try to get these cards on drop barrier as soon as possible. So we may not be using it for its super combo purpose. 3 Piccolo, Cunning Strategist, awesome promo card. When you play this, you burst 3. You get to choose 1 Namekian or Universe 7 card from your hand with an original cost of 4 or less. Negated skills return and play it. The main target for this is going to be the Piccolo Assimilated ability. So what this allows us to do is once we have these on board, as long as we have another battle card on the field, this card fulfills its Bond 2 request. And then activate battle. You choose 1 battle card, 5 or less, and you KO it. If you KO it, you get to draw a card. So this sets up a very interesting defense of having, even if you have multis on the field, where your opponent really can't play small stuff without barrier, unless they can remove these Piccolos off the field, because these are just going to sit here until your opponent wants to swing, and you just pop it and draw a card. You have to be careful though, because when I awaken, if I have a Piccolo Assimilated ability on board, I'm probably not going to swing at my leader anymore, just so I don't burst. And I will just use my draw ability from Piccolo. Unless I really, really want to use my leader swing to draw, I'll probably just swing through the battle card and then use this to draw a card. That way I'm not milling me out as quickly. 3 intensive training Son Goku. This is sort of the main card in the deck here. So this is a 20k 4-drop deflect barrier that has an activate main, activate battle, which is your leader's a green Son Goku, and you choose 5 green cards that fit the following character names. You have Son Goku. You have Son, Gohan, Youth, Vegeta, Bulma, Krillin, and Piccolo, and you warp 5 of those cards. So it does have to be 5 of each. Just need to be 5 of those cards. So just to go over it, we have we have 6 Piccolos, 4 the Vegetas, 2 Bulmas, 2 Krillin, 4 Krillin, and 2 Gohans. That's really it. I don't run any other. Everything else in the deck is not really going to fit in these in this archetype here. But these cards here, all of these work for this requirement. And it's an activate main, activate battle. It could be on either turn. So you want to wait till your opponent has something on the board for this to have its full effect. But you get to choose a 5-drop green Son Goku from your deck and play it on top of this card. It doesn't say in active mode, so it just says play on top of it. And then we play out this card here, the Pride of the Sands. This card is awesome. So when you play this card, you choose all your opponent's battle cards ignoring barrier and you KO them. So once this card hits the field, it KOs everything on your opponent's side of the field. When this card is in rest mode, and if there's a 4-drop Goku underneath it, anytime your opponent plays a 5-drop or less, they have to drop 2 cards from their hand. So anytime, it's just an auto. So as long as this card is in rest mode, your opponent's got to drop cards. And doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what effects it has, doesn't matter if it has barrier, it doesn't matter. They have to drop 2. Now if they only have 1 card in hand, let's say they play that card and they only have 1 more card in hand, they don't have to drop it because it says choose 2. So if they can't fulfill the requirement, they can't actually drop a card. So they can still play a battle card, they just can't drop the other 2 because it doesn't say unless, it just says they have to choose 2. But this card also cannot be removed by the removed from the battle area by skills, so it can't be popped by skills. It can only be KO'd or its power reduced to 0, and then it is a 25k double strike swing. So now we're going to get into the utility part of the deck, which some of it is pretty similar to other decks, some of it is a little bit different. So we run 3 Master Yoshis. We get this card in the drop, we tap 1 green, warp it, and then we get to choose a green extra card from our drop, add it to our hand. 3 Bardock. This Paternal Unison card here is really good. I'm iffy about running it at 4. And I don't even really play this Unison out a lot anyways, truthfully. But once I can get it out, it is really, really good. You definitely want to try to mill for this card. I mean, not mill. You kind of want to mulligan for this card early. That way you have it. That way you don't burst it away, because you can't really get it back after that. But activate main. You +1, you get the KO a 1-drop green card on your field, and if you KO it, your opponent has to drop a card. This will also fulfill your Awaken requirement, because if you see here on this side, it just said when one of your battle cards is KO'd. So you can use the Bardock ability on turn 2 to KO a 1-drop if your opponent didn't swing at you for some reason, but it has to be a green. So you can't KO the Supreme Kai. You can only KO the Krillin, Gohan, and the Bulma card as well. Anytime your opponent combos the first time, or whenever your opponent combos, you can choose one of the cards in their combo area, put in the drop area. So this is really good for if they're trying to do arrival stuff. They play an arrival card, you just pop it. I believe the auto will still go off for that that card, but they don't get the arrival requirement. They have to combo something else to do that. And then for -3, you can give this card 20k in triple attack. It's kind of a cool thing. I don't really use it in this deck too much. It's mainly just there to help kind of, destroy the hand, and just kind of give me an extra swing. Next card is Hasty Dispatch Dispo. Awesome 1-drop. In this deck, I find myself actually playing this card out for 1, so I can pop it with Bardock effect. But then once this card's in the drop area, you can warp it. If you have no cards in your battle area, you can choose one battle card with an energy cost of 1, negated skills for the turn, and play it. So even if I don't have something in play, I have this in the warp. I can warp this, play a 1-drop out from my my drop area, and then use Bardock's effect to pop it, and then just send it back. And I didn't use any energy. I can run this out of 4, but the deck's already sitting at 60 cards, so can't really fit anything else in there. And the reason why I run 60 is because I mill a lot. So you don't want to... Having 60 cards just gives you an extra few turns of being able to mill stuff. Also just gives you more utility to put in your drop area, which is very, very helpful. A new addition to the deck is the Android 17 Negate. Yes, you don't get the second effect because your leader's not an android, but this is a perfect 1-drop for us to just pop with our Bardock. It's a 1-drop negate. I actually ended up taking out the Kakunsas. I was running 3 Kakunsas, and the card felt too heavy. It wasn't a great... I mean, it's a great card, but just in this deck, I like having a lot of 1-drops that I can just, pull out, negate, and then I can use this. I can also bring this back with Dispo as a 1-drop, and then KO it with Bardock to have some more effect as well. 2 for the greater good. It's a 1-drop negate that negates and then KOs a 1-drop. But also this card can be played from the drop area by removing this and 1 green card from your hand, and then it's basically a negate. So that second effect is good because if I warp this, or if I end up milling this card, and I don't have a negate in hand, I really need one. I could just remove a dead card in my hand, tap 1 energy, remove this from the game, and then I have a negate. Just gives me another way to be able to survive in some turns. 1 artificial impact for, even though I can literally pop everything in the game, it gives me another way of just giving some hand destruction for 3 energy. Also, it's a 5k combo. 4 not even a scratch. This card has a double use in this deck, obviously. For 1 energy, it is a counterattack, but then activate main, you can warp this card from your drop area and draw 1. So if I end up having like 2 of these in my drop, I just tap 2, send these 2 to the warp, and then draw 2. So it's just like a weird ape to have. And I actually think this card is better than the monkey, because if you think about it, this card is basically removing 8 cards from the deck, because you have these 4 cards, and then these 4 cards are draw a card, so that's 8 cards. With the monkey, you have 4 of those, but then they draw you 2, so you're actually milling almost twice as many cards, which is not good. You don't want to mill yourself. That's going to end up milling yourself out too quickly. But this is just nice. It's just, if I have 1 of them, I can just warp it, draw a card, just try to get something else in my hand, and it does its job also as a negate as well. All right, so now for the big part of the deck. So this is the main engine of the deck here, this card here, to save a hopeful future. This card is what really makes this deck tick. You get, for 4 energy, you can choose any green battle card with 5 or less energy cost from your drop and play it. Doesn't say with its skills negated. So any 5 drop. Obviously we haven't gone over many of the 5 drops yet, but the biggest one you can do obviously is going to be this. You also can play out the 4-drop as well, because it says 5 or less. So you actually can play this out, and then if you have the cards, let's say you don't have anything in your drop, you can play this out, warp those cards, and then play this from your deck or your hand, or just play this out. The nice thing about playing out the 4-drop on top of it is so you can get the second auto effect. When this card's in rest mode, it has a 4-drop, then they start having the mill card from their deck whenever they play something. But if not, you just play this for 4 and then wipe your opponent's entire board. Now you have a 25k double strike on board for 4 energy. Now you mix that with the Master Roshi, you can pull that card back, and then you have even more stuff that you can do. Another card that can pull some stuff back is going to be the Super 17 Power Distilled. This is technically a 4-drop in your hand, so this card you cannot play out with to save Hopeful Future, but you can actually play this card out with Zerloin Maiden Supporter. So this card here, you can play this from your drop, obviously, and when you play this card, choose one battle card in your hand with an energy cost of 4 or less and play it. So what are the 2 options for this card here? So obviously, there's one. When you have, you guys can't read it there, when you have 10 or more non-black battle cards in your drop area, we do run some black cards in this deck, but it's only black battle cards, or non-black battle cards. So not even a scratches actually don't count for that. So we only run 2 black battle cards. But we can play out the Super 17 or the Piccolo Stimulant ability from our hand for free. Well, now what this card does, when this card attacks, so it's dual attack. Whenever this card attacks, you warp one card from your drop area. Choose 1 green extra card in your drop area, add it to your hand, and then your opponent has to warp a card from their hand. So what's really interesting is when you swing at this card, you can use this card to pull this back, and then restand, and then your opponent has to warp a card from their hand, and then you do it again. Swing. This card, if this card can stay on the field for more than 1 turn, this card can almost generally win you the game late, just because it's gonna rip 2 cards from your opponent's hand every single turn if you can get 2 swings off with it. And also it just allows you to refill your hand with maybe a extra card like this that you can basically just add back to your hand for free. Going back into Maiden Supporter here for a second. Also has an auto whenever this card, you can KO this card when one of your opponent's cards attacks. So it could be a unison card, it could be a battle card, it could be a leader. When you KO this, after that attack, your opponent can't attack with battle card for the duration of the turn. So if they go ahead and swing with leader first, this is almost like a Nimbus. You can just pop this. Now they can't swing with battle cards. Or if they swing with the unison card first, you pop this. Same effect. When this card dies, you get to choose a 4 or less from your drop area and play with the skills and get it for the turn. And obviously, target is going to be this, or it's going to be this. So we can play out either one of these from our drop area for free. Obviously, their skills are negated for the turn, but then afterwards, they both get barrier. This one gets deflect as well. Active battle is now active, and then this main active battle is now awakened as well. And he's also just a really thick card. He's 30k, so you can also use this to just knock down some battle cards on the field, make your opponent have to combo up, and that's never a really fun thing for them to deal with. I run 1 Rebrienne. The main reason why I only run 1 is because this card's on-play effect is only from the hand, so this card doesn't work really well with to save a Hopeful Future, sadly. So this card has the same exact effect as the 5-drop Goku, so there's no really reason to run a ton of these. But I do run 1 because if I can play it out from my hand, it's still a 30k triple strike, and when it's in rest mode, regardless, my opponent can only attack that card. Then when this card dies, I could bring out a 4-drop or less, and then we can bring out another Piccolo or another Goku. But so that's why I felt really bad not running one of these, just because I know how good of a card it is. So I think 1 of it is fine for now. Whenever we do some play testing, we'll kind of figure out and see if it needs to be cut or not. 3 Frieza Charismatic Villains. I do mill these quite a bit, so they're not extremely good. But we can play this card out for you with the Saved Hopeful Future, which then when it comes into play, it has its auto where you can KO something, so it still is pretty effective. And then I will probably run if you ever see me running one of these cards, you're gonna see me running the other one. The Fuse Zamasu, there's no reason not to play it for 1 energy. You can pop a 5 energy worth of battle cards that are more than 10k or more than 5k, which Frieza fits both of those requirements. Put this in the drop, play the card out for free from your hand, and then it's every time this card swings, your opponent drops a card, it's 20k indestructible. This card can also come out with Disable Future as well. And then the last boss monster is Great Ape Mask Saiyan, Primal Carnage. It sucks when I mill it, but if I can get this card in my hand, I can generally win the game unless it gets ripped. The auto combo effect on this is just so good. You combo with this, then you remove it from the game, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and you KO it. So any card that they have on the field they combo and do a ton of stuff, you can just tap one, combo with this, remove it then, and then KO that card. But its on-play effect is still pretty good. It's activate main for 5 green. To play it, card gets dual attack and triple strike. Becomes pretty difficult to deal with, especially if they already have a low hand size. This can just end the game for you on that turn. So this is my Son Goku Dredge-Ku deck. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.